spent 3 years and $30,000 on a computer science degree. I majored in data science because it was this sexy, in-demand career path that everyone wanted to pursue. After having spent this kind of time and money on a degree program, you'd expect to come out of it and have the skills necessary to get a job, right? Like you'd expect to be prepared to land a job in the field, correct? Wrong. My computer science degree did not teach me the skills necessary to get a job in the field. In fact, I used to spend hours outside of my computer science classes teaching myself to code, taking online courses, and doing side projects. And it isn't just me. Almost every single computer science graduate I've spoken to has also taken multiple online courses or boot camps on top of their computer science degree, which leads you to ask the question, why? Why is this happening? And if computer science degrees don't actually prepare you for a job in the field, then what is the point of doing one in the first place? In this video, I am going to break down to you what you actually learn in a computer science degree, what you don't learn, and ultimately, I'm going to attempt to answer the question, as of 2023, is it still worth pursuing a computer science degree? Okay, let's get into it. Firstly, let's talk about what you actually learn in a computer science degree. I went into my degree thinking that I was going to learn programming. I thought that I was going to learn to build machine learning models, web applications, or some kind of end product. But that wasn't the case. What I actually ended up learning was theory. I had classes in discrete mathematics, statistics, computer architecture, and I spent so much time writing formulas on paper and cramming theoretical concepts for exams. Now, don't get me wrong, we still did have some classes in programming, so we had some classes in Java and C++, but these classes mostly just taught us things like syntax or data structures and algorithms. They didn't actually teach us how to build anything. So with university classes alone, none of us were able to build a complete machine learning model or web application, right? So it was like we were being given all of these different puzzle pieces, but nobody told us how they fit together. And by my second year of university, I realized that I just didn't have the skills necessary to land a job in the field. I wanted a data science job, so I went online and took multiple courses in programming and analytics. I also created side projects because I was teaching myself how to build something that was of value to businesses. So why is this happening? Why are computer science degrees not preparing us to get a job in the field? Well, firstly, as we've already established, there is a disconnect between what you learn in computer science degrees and the skills that you need to get a job. Computer science degrees will teach you core computer science principles, mathematics, and theory. They don't teach you job-specific skills. And this is because the tech industry is constantly changing. There's always a new language or a new framework coming out, and it is difficult for computer science degrees to keep changing their syllabus to adapt to the changes in the market. So instead, they teach you core computer science concepts. They'll teach you math and theory, things that don't change that much. That's essentially what you learn throughout your 3 to 4 year degree. And while these concepts are beneficial, while they do give you a strong foundation, I just don't think that they're necessary if your only goal is to get a job in tech as quickly as possible. For example, if you want to become a web developer, you don't need calculus. All you need to do is brush up on a couple of programming languages, do a few side projects, and start building. Also, keep in mind that most computer science degrees are being taught by people who have never worked in industry before. In fact, most of my computer science professors were researchers. These are people who have never had an actual job in tech themselves, at least not for the past 10 years or so. So how are these people going to teach you how to land a job in tech if they haven't worked in industry themselves? Right? And I find that to be the biggest difference between online courses and computer science degrees, because online courses are being taught by industry experts. These are people who have actually gotten into companies like Microsoft and Google before, and they're teaching you to do the same. I find that this element of real-world experience is missing in computer science degrees. It's somewhat like they're teaching you to drive a car without actually getting behind the wheel. So whether you want to become a web developer, a data analyst, or a data scientist, is it worth pursuing a computer science degree in 2023? Personally, knowing what I know today, I would not go back and do a computer science degree because firstly, it is really expensive, and I just don't think it's worth the money unless you live in a country in which education is affordable or free. Secondly, I just don't think it's worth the time. I mean, if your only goal was to get a job in the field, what would you pick? A 3 to 4 year degree or teaching yourself everything you need to know in 1 year? Personally, I would pick the 1 year and then I would go out and get industry experience and actually start making money. Finally, you can learn all of the skills that you need to know online at a much lower cost. I have worked with data science and data analyst managers who are completely self-taught. And I also know people with master's degrees who are unable to solve business problems with data because they lack industry-specific knowledge. And today, the number of online resources available at your disposal is like never before. You have Harvard courses like CS50 that will teach you the fundamentals of computer science. Udemy and Udacity have a sea of courses that will teach programming, SQL, data structures, and even machine learning. edX and Coursera have online learning paths from some of the most prestigious universities in the world, which you can also get for free. And if you want to get into data science or machine learning, then you have Khan Academy and 3 Blue 1 Brown that will teach you all of the math and statistics that you need to know for free. So why spend so much time and money on a university degree? In fact, in my final year of university, I used to skip some of my computer science classes and I was instead using this time to teach myself programming, to create side projects, and to build my portfolio. And I believe that all of this additional time that I spent was what gave me relevant work experience and eventually helped me get my first job in the field. That being said, however, I do believe that there is some value to doing a computer science degree. I don't want to discredit them altogether. If you're someone who lacks structure, if you're not disciplined enough to self-study, then you're much better off doing a computer science degree because otherwise, you'll never end up learning the skills necessary to get a job in the field. Another reason to do a computer science degree is because you'll end up establishing a lot of new connections. You will build this network of future tech professionals that will open a lot of doors for you in the future. Finally, universities do help a lot in getting your first job. They help to get your foot in the door, and this is because most universities will partner with tech companies. So you have companies coming into universities looking for candidates for full-time jobs or for internships. Your chances of getting employed and your chances of visibility are also much higher than if you were to just randomly apply to job listings and have your resume pile up alongside everyone else's. That being said, however, I got my first job in the field because an employer saw my online portfolio, they liked the projects that I've been working on, decided to interview me, and I got hired. At this point, they didn't even know whether I had a computer science degree, and I don't think it would have mattered. You know, they saw that I was able to do the job and decided to employ me. So in my case, my university degree didn't help all that much in me getting my first role. And after your first job, it doesn't really matter. Nobody's gonna ask about your university degree because at that point you already have some work experience. And yeah, I know that this is somewhat an unpopular opinion, but if you have time or resource constraints and are on the fence about doing a computer science degree, just know that it isn't your only option. You don't absolutely need to have a computer science degree to get a job in tech. And that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do like it. Also, do subscribe to my channel. I will be posting more tips and tutorials on data, AI, and programming in the next couple of weeks.